Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Punch Kick Joke Chat. I'm so happy to be here. My name is Sean Benson. I'm one of your hosts. We're going to jump right into a hosts chat about McDojo episode. But first, I just want to do intros. I want to start with Hanchi Legacy. You know, last night I had a class. We had a full class, and we just fought, and we fought continuous sparring. And it was glorious. And everybody afterwards was just like, God, I love that we fight this way. And the guys at the club walking by, they're like, what is this? And I was like, this is karate. And they're like, wow, I didn't know that was karate. And I just want to say that's because of Hanchi Legacy. We all learned to move that way from him. We all learned to fight that way from him. That doesn't exist as a legacy Shorin-ryu man, woman, or person without him. So thank you for that, Hanchi. And thank you to Sensei Suino and Sensei Dauphin. My body feels better than it felt a week ago. And we did 12 hours of martial arts. 4 hours karate, 2 hours kickbox with grapple and clinch, 2 hours judo. I was thrown at least 100 times, and then we did 4 hours of groundwork, and in that was fitness. And this is an event they organize, and Sensei Suino hosts, and it's hands-on, moving, active, fighting the whole time. And I just want to say that coming through that and feeling better, not worse, but also feeling tested and drained. Thank you both for that. So I just love that we have a fabric and that you gentlemen happen to have made that fabric, all three of you, for us. So that's my intro for the co-hosts tonight.
Thanks. And thanks, Sean, for doing your part at that event too. The BJJ stuff was great that you shared with everybody. And yeah, you got us, you helped get us through it too.
I appreciate that. So ladies and gentlemen, tonight we're going to break down, we didn't invent this term, it's been going around, McDojo. And we're flying by the seat of our pants because we've never done a show like this. We're so excited you're here with us, and hit that subscribe and like button if you're on YouTube or the podcasts. But if you're here tonight, you can just keep firing videos in. Robert's running the scenes tonight. And what we're going to do is throw up some videos, and we're basically just going to do reaction videos and break it down. There's one particular site called McDojo Life that's amazing. There's no affiliation with that site, but that guy's kind of got the market cornered. He's got a great logo, and just I recommend you follow that because, you know, I'll just throw out my own thoughts here, and either we break it down or jump into a video. But we have responsibility as martial artists, especially in a world where we can film anything and there's no hidden door hoodoo anymore, to be good. And when you watch these things, you know, ask yourself, could I ever end up on this site? And if the answer is maybe, get training and get pressure testing. Let me throw it to you, Sensei Dauphin.
Well, if you can't be good, at least be honest. And that's one of the things I don't like about most of these people is they're charlatans. And when I watch them, the first two people that pop into my brain are Sensei Legacy and Sensei Copeland. I think of those two people right away, and I don't think of them in that their martial arts is better, because that's obvious. I think of them standing in the room looking at these idiots do this stuff and what would happen if they were actually there. It would be hilarious. I would love to see it. I just told my students I could stand across the room from Sensei Legacy, and with one glance at his eyes, I know exactly what's going on when stupid things are happening. I can look at him and I know if it's time to knock somebody out in the ring or whether it's time to like fall down and start laughing. So I am, for this whole thing, I'm most excited to see Sensei Legacy's facial expressions as this shit starts to happen.
What about you, Sensei Suino? Before we jump in, what are your thoughts? What are you thinking? What are you looking forward to with this new take on our show?
Man, you know, I've watched some of the clips that we're going to review, and it just, I don't know, like, how do you let that stuff get on YouTube? Let's say you suck that bad, or you're that delusional, and someone videos you, and do they go, hey, check this out? And they hold their phone up. Look what I just videoed of you. How do you let that, like, you got to snatch that phone out, right? And throw it in the toilet. Whatever you do, don't show my idiocy to the world. I don't know. It's just crazy. But I guess not everybody has the same opinion, and you know, we're about to find out.
Well, it's funny you say that. And we'll talk more about it as the show goes. I don't think now's the time to break it open, but I do think delusion's an important word. During COVID, there was a month where a bunch of actors were posting monologues, like them solo doing a bit. And I remember saying to a friend, 99% of these should not have been posted. Like 99% of these needed somebody to go, that's not good. Like that's not going to help your career. If somebody sees that, they'll go, oh, they're not ready yet. And that person thought it was good. And I don't know who didn't say no to them along the way. But in any case, what about you, Hachi? What are you looking forward to tonight?
I don't know. I haven't seen it. But God, from what I get, I'm just waiting to get let down here as a martial artist. I don't know. I don't know. It's always good for a laugh, though, I suppose.
Right on. I don't know all the videos that are queued up, but I definitely have a question or two for you, Hanchi, as the show gets going. Robert, do you want to just spin us up one and we'll go around the horn? Oh, this is fun.
All right, you can see that?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay.
Here we go.
What will you be doing first? It's called synchronized panther eye. Synchronized what? Panther eye. It's a fighting system. I suppose it's. Where's it from? The Isle of Man? Ireland. Oh. Yeah. You've developed it. Absolutely. Excellent. So it's an original. Absolutely. First time. It's accompanied by music of your own. Absolutely. It's synchronized. Okay.
What's wrong with this guy? Holy shit.
There you go. Everyone in the world should be practicing those sidekicks for sure.
All right. What where do we start, Sensei Suino? Where do you want to go with this? Robert, can you pop that screen down now that we're done with that?
Oh, what do you even say? Like, even knowing like this is probably in the past and we're all watching it together, the feeling of embarrassment I have when I watch that stuff, it's just so cringe. I feel like that's just can't be enough that either, you know, even though we probably think the guy's just clueless, he thinks he's doing something great and he's not. I think it just can't be enough to kind of be a Monty Python skit. You know what I mean? So I don't
Yeah.
know if that's legit or if he's just, you know, having us on.
No, that's a Monty Python thing. I really don't think that's real. I don't even think he's Irish. The Irish would be hunting him down right now. Seriously,
Well, he might have been dead already. Who knows?
that's true. That was like,
I really liked that he had a globe in his dojo, just randomly the scenery in the background. He had a globe. And I was thinking, hey, 1955 called and they want their dance shoes back. Right? Like,
Well, that might be an area of subject that maybe you and Benson know something about. I don't know dance shoes from
Well, I mean, it's a blend of Arthur Murray Studios dance program and you know, Kung Fu appropriate shoes. It's funny you mentioned that though, because like you're watching a guy who actually is flexible and there's moments of quickness and you're like, who taught him that? Or who tried to teach him where he said, no, I'm going to invent my own thing. Like, where's the breakdown there?
nobody showed him that shit. He just put that together.
he's a dancer, and I really don't think that's serious. That can't be serious.
I don't think I don't believe that's serious. If
yeah.
because that guy, he moves well enough that if he actually joined a martial arts school, he would actually be able to do, like, he moved well enough that
That's
he'd
what
be
I'm saying.
actually able to do something. So that's a gimmick.
Yeah, he's too good to be that bad.
Yeah.
No kidding.
I'm gonna see I'll have Robert, if you can send me the name of that guy again off the top of the video. We don't need to see it again, but when we move on to other things, and then I'll Google him while we're watching something else, and we'll see if that is an actual thing or if that's like an Ali G or Borat bit.
See if the Irish killed him already.
Well, Hanshi, when that's let's say that's 20, 30 years old, maybe even 40, like 70s vibe. You're already doing martial arts at that point. Are you watching stuff without the term McDojo in 1975 and going, what the fuck is that?
Not like that. Like, you can see where some people are just plain bad, but that's not even in the picture. Like, that's got to be a spoof. I mean, there's bad martial arts, and then there's that.
Yeah, what the hell is Panther Eye?
Right?
That's what it was called. Let me look this up. Panther Eye.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I
like
won't take time while we're doing this, but I'll look behind the scenes.
I mean, Panthers are cool and deadly, but I don't know why you just pick their eye to name your style after. Why would you call it Panther Eye? Like,
Right on. Robert, keep them coming. What do you got next for us?
you know, people watching, you can send in your comments to us too when you're watching these, and we'll read them, especially if they're funny. Synchronized what?
Oh, okay.
Guy flipping us off. These guys are doing a send up of it.
Okay, they're doing the
Yeah.
send up of the dude.
What
Yeah.
the-
Can we see the initial part of that again, Robert? I think that's the
You're
point.
playing it like the Zapruder film. If you could take it, rewind that.
I mean, it reminds me a little bit of some of the Sistema guys. These guys are now having fun with it.
Yeah, those guys are teasing them. Those
They
are
do.
no-gi guys.
I can't even fathom that being real. Somebody is kidding.
No,
Not
I
the
think that guy.
fit.
I think that guy thinks he's doing something. I don't think that guy's. I've seen a number of people doing bullshit like that, with people standing around them trying to copy them.
Well, we've got I don't know if we have any Sistema clips. I thought I saw some of that being chatted around, but Hanchi, have you ever seen any Sistema?
Not if
don't know
it's
how-
like that.
I don't know how we pronounce it.
I mean, the only thing I could think there is that there's a fly and he's trying to get rid of it. That's all I can say. I just don't get it. I think where's Conroy Copeland? He'd be a good guy to have
Oh my gosh, right?
to make comments. On,
Well,
Let's say Copeland is dealing with a personal matter right now. So
oh, it's terrible.
yeah,
Year.
I mean, there are a lot of moves in some arts that have that that thing, right? Like grabbing the nuts or grabbing the
but
arm or whatever. Like,
I mean, up here, like, what are you grabbing the nuts of the Jolly Green Giant or something? Like, you know, like up in your armpits. What's the person doing? How's their nuts getting in your armpit? Like, what's going on?
I hate to say it, but as probably many times when I fought you, Randy, there was something going on, and I might have done that. If I got turned around or something, it's just the whole. You know, when you're doing a fight, you don't know what's going to happen. So sometimes you can do moves, but the whole thing is just
Yeah,
there's nobody else there.
There, Sensei, we were fighting, and you had intention to actually hurt me. You weren't standing in the middle of the room just doing like,
Yeah, that's
you know, like that guy looks like he's off of his medication or something.
yeah, that's not even funny. I mean, I was sort of bummed at this.
well, where does Drunken Monkey fit in with all this? Because I think some people are trying to maybe do that.
Well, there is something like that.
Yeah, but even that, I remember Sensei Legacy, you saying to me about And you weren't saying it disparagingly, but it was, okay, you can do all that shit, like rolling around and doing stuff, but eventually you have to stand up, come near the person and hit them. Right. So like, so
Ooh.
what is all that stuff for? Like, what is all that other stuff for?
Maybe they're trying to get you to laugh, and then they're gonna bob you or something. I don't know. Like I don't know.
Robert, give us another one, man. Those two were weak.
I don't think they're gonna get
They're
back.
all going to be weak.
All right, this one's
Oh,
for you,
this is my
Tita.
favorite.
Oh, my
man.
God, really?
Oh, 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 oh,
Yeah, nice
Oh,
kick, homie.
the neck grab.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Look at the guy in the background. He's like, look at that guy standing back there.
Let's do that one more time.
oh
Is
God.
that a Turkish flag in the background there? Or
Oh,
Azerbaijan? That's a good head kick, man. Oh,
oh, that pool. Oh,
and what do they got? A pogo stick in the background? Oh, that's a sit-up bench, isn't it?
Oh yeah, you gotta have a strong core to throw a kick like that. Your
100%.
ass gotta be tight. Or maybe that
Yeah.
was for her.
If you're gonna take your auntie out or your wife, you might as well do a good job of it.
Look how shitty his kick is too. Look how far he's leaned over. He stood no chance of fucking hitting that apple.
he was so not close. He's never kicked that high in his life. Like it's
Yeah.
not like he slipped and he normally does that. That's the best kick he's ever thrown, and it was still 8 inches low.
Well, we probably have reason to believe there's vodka involved in all this experience.
How did they get the girl to do that? And there's two other guys in the room.
Sensei,
Maybe
listen,
there's-
I think that guy standing in the background, he looks pretty happy about her getting kicked in the head. Like his
That's
whole
your husband.
I think he hired that guy. I think that's either like his ex. That's his ex-wife. Look at how happy that guy looks back there. He's like, she's been bitching me out like for months. She's been riding my ass, and finally I put an apple on the top of her head, and that guy booted her in the side of the head.
Can we see that again, Robert, from the beginning? I thought the first third of the kick started to shape up nicely,
Oh, okay.
right? Like just watch the how he sets this up.
I
Look
wonder
at-
what she's saying
see,
right now.
like his first microsecond, like right here, he looks like he's gonna just lay a good kick in, and then he just needed a much shorter
God.
victim there.
Do you guys know about William S. Burroughs, the author?
What about him?
He's part of the Beat Generation with like Jack Kerouac and Allen Ginsberg. So I think it was 1959. He was drunk at a party and he put a whiskey glass on his wife's head and said, "I can shoot this off her head," and shot her in the face and killed her.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And
And
how'd
like-
that go? How'd that go for him?
I don't even think he went to jail for it. I think everybody was there and like understood it was just like gross negligence or something. And like there was no civil suit or anything, but he wrote some pretty dark literature after that. So he ended up becoming like a respected author after not kicking the apple off his wife's head, so to speak.
Well, no wonder all these writers can't get a break these days. They're not doing anything significant enough.
They're not going. Well, it's true. Think Hemingway fighting Morley Callahan. Think
Right?
Burroughs. They were willing to put something on the line. So this guy might actually be like Azerbaijan's best author by now.
I like talking about authors, but let's talk about this loser kicking an apple. And Mark Altamar says free kick to the head, and she still didn't go down. And Altamaro, we don't know that for sure because this thing stops. Like, I would love to know what happened in the I would love to know what preceded this. Like, what was the conversation that happened? How did this guy talk this girl into coming in this room and putting this apple on her head? And then after that was all done, what was the conversation that happened on the ride to the hospital or on the ride home? Like, what?
They might have been starving, and that was the last apple that they had, right? And she's like, motherfucker, you don't get this apple unless you can kick it off my head. And he's like, I'm taking you out because I want the apple.
She was talking, like you could see her lips moving. I wish there was some audio with that. That would have been hilarious.
I mean, we'll get there with some other videos, of course, but this really brings up the question of like how we always say, find a great sensei and trust them, do what they say. And like, what do you do when you don't know your sensei's that guy? And they say, put this apple on your head.
Well, technically, I know what he did wrong, right? He didn't pick his knee up. He just brought it up to his waist and then started to go in.
Tried to kick high.
That's
after
what he
that.
did technically wrong. And he might have been wearing too tight of pants so that his pants wouldn't allow his leg to go up. I mean,
Hey, listen, Hachi, you can't fault a guy for trying to be fashionable.
You heard the Rogan story about wearing the loser jeans for 15 years and never getting in a fight. So he's like, I'm not going to be that guy.
So this dovetails nicely into one of the first big EIDO seminars I hosted up in Lansing, and we had a bunch of people show up for it. And this guy who ran a school of somewhere in Michigan, I don't even know, shows up with like seven teenagers, and they all do, I don't know what it is, it's probably a Korean martial art or something. And they spend 6 hours learning legitimate EIDO, and then at the very end we do tameshigiri, we do cutting, right? Well, he happens to bring this little short sword. We're doing cutting with full-size katana. He's never done a tameshigiri session before. So he shows up with his little short sword, and he's like, I want to use my short sword for this. And I'm like, I don't think that's a good idea. And he goes, no, I'm going to do it. So he has like white belts and skinny little teenagers and everybody else in front of him using a full-length katana and just slicing through these mats. And this guy who was not narrow in the midsection, shall we say, gets up there with his little short sword, and he starts hacking away at this mat. And everybody else is cutting these mats in one stroke, and he's hacking, and he can't get through. And so then he's got his 7 teenagers over on the sidelines, and I shit you not, this literally happened. They go sensei, go sensei, go sensei. And he's trying to hack this thing, and then he gets gassed. He gets gassed before he can cut through the mat once, and he has to sit down. This actually happened. Oh my God. So I
Could
should
have
have
only got a tape of that.
I know, that'd be priceless now.
Sensei Suino, I don't know what's queued up for us, but you must have seen somebody try and do some live blade katana shit and cut somebody, right?
Yeah. But never McDojo shit. Just people getting really intensely concentrated during their EIDO. And I've seen 3 people cut themselves really badly. I saw a guy put a sword through his bicep once, doing a backward thrust. I saw a guy, but I mean like through, right? And then I saw a guy, slice this, and he didn't even know he had done it. He sliced that part of his hand, and he was continuing to go through his form, and everybody's staring at him, and he's like, why is everybody staring at him? He looks down, and there's this huge pool of blood on the floor. His sword was so sharp, he didn't even feel it. And then one of my students sliced his finger like this, starting from here down, so the whole flap of skin came up, so you could see the bone all the way down here. And he turned whiter than the color of his bone. But Holland Sensei took him to the hospital, and there's 2 parts of this story. The worst part is they had to hold it open and inject him with lidocaine, and then clean it. So that was the other bad part. But here's the crazy thing: they sewed that flap of skin back down, and in 3 weeks you couldn't even tell it ever happened. It was amazing. It was the cleanest, or it's a sharp katana cut. It was the cleanest cut I've ever seen. They sewed that thing back down and looked like it never happened. Absolutely amazing. So that's what I got. 3 slices.
Right
So
on.
listen, before we tee up the next one, I want to tell a funny thing that happened. Since Legacy and I were at a karate tournament, and this guy put these 4 pieces of wood down, like 2x4s, and he was going to break them on his head. And they weren't. Yeah, he's sensei's laughing already. He remembered. So he gets down on one knee, and he gets this 2x4, and he like brings his hand back, and he brings it and cracks his head into it, and it's not dry wood, and it like wraps around his head, and then goes like perfectly straight again. And then most morons would stop doing anything, right? But
Mhm.
no, he smashes it into his head like 7 more times to try and break it, and it doesn't break. And then he like kind of staggers, picks up his 4 pieces of wood and looks at everybody, and blood's like running out of his head, right? And you'd like to think that that is the end of that story, that he just drifted away, but no. Like about 3 months later, Sensei Legacy and I and this guy Tim Black are fighting at the High Street Complex in St. Thomas. So you know what the fighting's like with the 3 of us in there fighting. And this jackass who tried to break the wood on his head comes wandering in and says, "Hi guys, I'm such and such, and I got a couple pointers for you for your fighting." And I look at Sensei Legacy and go, "That's the guy who tried to break the wood on his forehead." Truth is stranger than fiction sometimes. That really happened.
Well, you know, he had a really hard head. You got to give him that.
Yeah. All right, Robert, what do you got?
All right, this one is for you, Sensei Suino.
Yes. I hope that reflects well on me.
This one is of you, Sensei Sweet. What?
Yeah. Woohoo.
Old VHS. You got a mullet?
There's booze involved. I put a curse on it. It's not coming on.
Oh, can't find it. Sorry. We'll jump to a different one. I'll find the idle one for you.
Thanks, Robert.
Oh man, this one is
Creative
Men's
forms.
black belt, creative forms. Here we go. U.S. Open Ice Skate World Championships. Front row followed up by some jump kicks. He's squaring up, doing some combinations. Here with a takedown, some ground and pound. Looks like a creative mixed martial arts form. I've never seen anything like this, but it's pretty cool. Maybe it could be a start of a new trend where you put some mixed martial arts techniques together for a form. Here we go, some more combos. That's a cool thing about these open martial arts events. The creative division, you could do pretty much anything that you want that's martial arts related. Here we go with some more ground and pound. Ush. Very interesting performance. Good job. Power, baby. Ush.
Osa.
Wow.
Osa.
You know, Bruce Lee better watch out.
All I can say is no shame.
Randy's taking notes.
Well, because the person who posted that, Carlos DeVale, he couldn't have been taken that serious because he said, "I'm about to have a stroke," and he had like 7 exclamation marks after he said that.
Carlos is a serious martial artist. I trained with him in Florida a few weeks back, and he'll kick your ass. So he was just having some fun on that. He was just
Perfect.
having a send up there. Yeah.
You said something interesting though. Bruce Lee. I mean, Bruce Lee did show up and go, "I'm going to combine these other things," right? And now he's heralded. Now, Bruce Lee was obviously a specimen and a really wise and brilliant guy. So at what point does someone come along and do some fuckery like this? And it's like, well, you can see what he's doing, right? Like you can see that guy go punch, punch, single leg down, punch, punch, which is a valid takedown. It's just a dreadful form and his execution shit. Where does it become valid over time?
Fuckery, man. That's the word of the night for sure.
I think there has to be actually like a technique. Like that guy didn't even, his kicks look like shit. Like he couldn't do a front kick to save his life. Like if he was in an MMA event and he tried to kick somebody with that type of a kick, like, okay, I'll ask you this, Sean. Imagine that guy trying to do any one of those things to Hendo.
Right.
He'd fucking grab that guy's leg and smash him into the ground. Like it would be like, so there has to be some level of technique.
Right.
It seems like, you know, once in a while you see a UFC match and a guy will come out and his warm up, right? He'll throw like Conor McGregor or somebody come out, throw a couple of punches and a kick, and he'll bounce a little bit. There's more martial virtue in that, like, 28-second warm up, right? Because those guys know what they're doing and they're throwing good techniques with the elbows in the right place and the knees up. Yeah, this guy was just a shitbag. I mean, there was no, I don't mean that personally. I'm sure God loves him too, but there was just no technique. Randy's not sure of that.
God doesn't love that guy. No. No. Mark Altamar said, could he actually repeat that kata step by step again, or is he just riffing? Which I think is a really good question. I don't think he could repeat that again. And I don't think he ever actually did it once before. I think
That's a great question.
Yeah, he just went on stage with a martial arts uniform on and started doing a bunch of bullshit. Like, I was going to use the R word, since, but we're not supposed to use that. So I
don't do it, man. Step away from the word. Well, that would be the equivalent of me trying to play improvisational jazz after 6 margaritas. I would be about as as skillful as that guy was with his karate or whatever you call it.
Now I want to see that.
Yeah, well.
Anybody got a tuba? Some improvisational jazz tuba by Sensei Suino?
Man, I don't even know how to play a tuba. I used to play the French horn,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question for you about that. Do you think right now, if you had to step up on that stage, you could improvise a non-rehearsed kata and do better than that guy just did? Like, just with the stuff that right now.
Yeah, clearly he doesn't know what classical karate is. That's where kata comes in, where there's a difference between a classical move and a practical move. And he's trying to string practical moves together that happen only when somebody does something. And whereas classical kata is something that you can do repeatedly over and over again to make your form and your posture better. See, that's what he's missing. If he knows other katas, he should have done a whole bunch of kata moves instead of doing practical moves. That's clearly the mistake he's making. And
okay, here's the next question. All 4 of us are in that building while that's happening, and we're all sitting next to each other watching.
You hit him with a fly swatter.
I think I would be laughing so hard. I might even be pointing and laughing. Like,
I'd just say stop that.
yeah, I know you would. Yeah, that was, you did that. Oh, Sensei Copeland's on the call now.
Hey.
That was the time you and I were refereeing and that guy did that. It was similar to that. Like, remember we saw that guy, he did that kata and it just was in every corner. He did it one time with his hands like this.
Yeah.
And you were the center referee. And when he left, you looked at me and said, he turned one more time. I was just going to look at him and go, stop that.
You've seen some guys invent styles, Hanshi, right?
Pardon me?
You've been around for guys trying to invent styles?
Be careful. Be careful where we tread on this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so the answer is yes. And we just leave it.
Yep.
Big steps.
And they're not around anymore. They're not around. The style isn't around anymore.
No, it didn't catch on. Not even here in Canada.
Yeah. In the winter. Anyway.
Robert, cue us up. It's like a roulette wheel. Spin the wheel, see what we get.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Finally got it
yeah.
working.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The intensity.
I've seen this one. I'm not sure I call this as Bullshito or McDojo. This is just a Creative. This is a creative form.
Well, at least it's funny.
At least that's effective. You got to give him that.
You can make fun of him now, but you're not going to make fun of him when he's standing there.
Right? Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. If you do it that way, you don't get to eat the melon.
He was in pretty good shape too.
I just feel like
100%.
eat the melon is a euphemism. And
For what?
you tell me.
I'm not telling you.
Walk away from the melon.
Yeah,
Walk
right.
away from the melon.
Step away from the gordito.
Sensei Copeland says he has a story regarding the sword.
Oh,
Let's let Sensei Copeland on tell the story. Let's hear it.
I got one for you. How do I share this?
Hello, my friends.
Hey,
Hey.
Sensei.
Hey,
Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
We can hear
sir.
Listen, I so missed the Crucible, man. I'm telling you,
Ah,
I was jacked up for that thing.
heartbreaker.
I was
Heartbreaker.
jacked. I was
Sensei.
jacked up this year more than I've been in all the years that Sensei Dolphin has been trying to get me to go to this thing. Come on, you gotta go. You gotta go. And this year, I was mentally ready. However, that's not the story.
Yeah.
So, on the University of the University Street in Wellington Dojo, Randy, you remember that one? Yes,
I
sir.
was there many times.
So we're in the middle of class. The front door, that big front door opens, and in walks a gentleman with a samurai sword. And he comes in and he pulls it out, and I go, whoa, whoa, whoa. This is not no exaggeration whatsoever. And I said, what are you doing there? He says, I'm practicing my sword. I says, can I see that? Can I see your sword? Because all I wanted to do was get the sword out of his hands. Can I see your sword? And he hands it to me, like freely. And so I looked at it and go, wow, this is really nice, you know. And I'm like, where'd you get this? So, I had it. I said, well, what have you been doing? He said, cutting hedges. I said, I can see that. Because all the green stains from the hedges is still on the blade. I said, you know, I have a great idea. How about if I buy that off you? Because in my head, I just want him to leave me with the sword. It's much safer in my hands. I don't know how to use it, but I'm not going to do that. So we try to make a deal, right? And I end up buying this sword from this gentleman for $25, cash money on the spot. I still have the sword till this day.
Oh,
Oh, I want to see that. And you
yeah,
know
we
what?
gotta see it now.
All the hedges and shrubbery around the University Avenue dojo are all happy that you bought that dojo, that sword.
That was
They
a
were all-
crazy. That was
They
crazy.
all sighed a sigh of relief when you owned the sword. They knew he wasn't coming back to cut them up.
Crazy, right? But you know, you never know what's going to happen. So when you have a storefront dojo, everybody pops in, and you don't know what's coming in the door until you get a chance to, you know, confront them. But yeah, that was when I saw that video there. I'm like, oh, I got to tell this story.
Right on.
Well, it's nice to see you, Sensei.
It's nice to be seen, man. It's been a rough week.
Yeah, well, let us know if you need anything, okay?
Absolutely, I appreciate it. It's nice to know you guys have my back. I appreciate that. Thank you.
We got your back. We're only a phone call away if you need something.
We're still working uphill. You know, we're not giving up hope. If you give up hope, you have nothing left.
Mhm.
True.
Keep up the faith.
All right. Thank you for letting me tell my story.
See you,
You're
Sensei.
welcome.
Enjoy your night.
thanks, Sensei. We're so glad you're here.
Awesome. Wouldn't miss it for the world. Or maybe.
I
Um,
can see that happening in Windsor. That happened. That's probably not the first time that's happened in Windsor. People probably walk in with grass stained swords into dojos like at least a couple dozen times in that city.
Robert, what do you want to shoot us? I like that gun one. That's a fun video. And it's sort of taking the old gun and the new gun and putting them together in a cool clip. I give that guy a thumbs up.
Studio feels like dojo. Shaolin kicks, I'm standing. These go hand with vocals. Martial arts, I took classes. Ay, jump get hit like Bruce. Rumble stunts like Jackie. 22 kicks, I'm brutal. Jump that punch like I'm spazzing. I go like a black belt. Like a black belt. I go like a black belt. Like a black belt. Like a black belt. I go like a
Sensei Suino.
Well, long time ago, somebody very wise in the martial arts said, when you see something that looks like it's too good to be true, watch the person taking the fall instead of the guy doing the technique. Right? And it's a classic example of people that are really want to believe in this stuff, and they're just throwing themselves around like rag dolls. If you attribute their emotion to the guy doing the technique, it looks pretty impressive. But what it really is these guys that are committed. I venture to say, because I've trained at some schools with a little bit of that hypnosis, I venture to say those people believe that they're being thrown, but I don't think they really are. I think they're throwing themselves.
So
How can they believe that?
Yeah.
How can you possibly believe that that works? Like, were you abused as a child? Like, how, like, what is it that causes you to come to that point in your life where a guy puts their finger out like that and you grab it and you believe they're like,
Well, the other alternative is that they're a very serious dojo and they do really serious martial arts all the time, and they just decided to do a send-up, right? But I didn't see a lot of martial virtue in the posture of those guys or anything, right? They were just real acrobatic, flexible kids.
what about you, Hanchi? You've seen 50 plus years of this too. Like, even if it's not this video, what makes somebody give over beyond reason?
I have no words for that. Like, I don't know how they work that. It's obvious. I don't know. I
Our
don't know. I'm sorry.
Superfan Pamela Swino says, my grandpa had some great pull my finger moves too.
Maybe that's what he threatened.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they're trying to get away, right? It's like,
Yeah, that's terrible.
I would like to see somebody on the sideline, like watching that and just walk out on the floor and grab that guy's finger. I just like to walk out and just like snap and then look at the expression on his face. Like, just walk out and he puts his finger out and you just go crack and just look at him and see what happens next.
So there's a guy, I don't know if he's still around, but there's a guy in the greater Detroit area that's supposed to be one of these like chi power guys. And he has a whole school and everything. And back in the day, I trained in karate with this dude who I would just describe very affectionately as just like a redneck, you know, absolutely no nonsense. Loved to train hard. You know, he came to karate school and trained with us, but he wasn't that interested in the karate. He was more interested in the, you know, in hitting people hard and being hit hard. And that was his thing. Anyway, he had a weekend to spare. So he was in the Detroit area at Eastern Market buying some food or something. He drove over to this dojo and walked in. And the main sensei was somewhere, but the senior student was on the floor. And this guy just walks out on the floor. This guy, Rob, he walks out on the floor and he goes, okay, well, why don't you guys like do the death touch stuff to me or whatever? And the guys, the way he tells the story, the guys are like, you know, trying to knock him down with their palm energy or whatever. And he's like, no, that's not working. And so they kept doing it. And said he tells the story that what he did was he just went in and he like, you know, foot swept all of the guys or punched a couple of them and walked out of the dojo. And the whole time they're like, listen, if our sensei was here, he'd show you how this stuff was done. You just don't understand.
I watched a clip once of a guy doing the same kind of thing, since you know, but a guy did walk up, like, and he said the guy tried to sign him up for a membership. It was so there were like 6 people and all that stupidity that was just happening on that. But these were North Americans. It wasn't anywhere in Asia.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy walked up and he said, I'll join right now. I just want to be able to throw a punch at your head as hard as I can. And if you can stop me, I'll sign up for an entire year. I'll give you the money for an entire year if you can stop me. And the guy's like, no, like what you need to like train for. And he's like, yeah, I will, but I just want to be able to throw a punch at your head as hard as I can. And the guy said, well, no, because you're not a believer yet. That's
Right.
you're not a believer.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. I think there is some hypnosis to this, you know. There's got to be. How do you accept that if you're not hypnotized?
How do you break that hypnosis, Sensei Legacy? When somebody's hypnotized and they believe that, Sensei Copeland's already written it. How do you break that hypnosis for these people?
Punch him in the neck.
That's what Sensei Copeland wrote.
I know.
He said they've never been punched in the. That's what Sensei Copeland said. They've never been punched in the throat.
Yeah.
You know,
are neck punchers.
you can, or you just take their ice fishing rod.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
There was an ice fishing rod and a snow scraper, by the way. It was
Okay, fair enough. Well, which one of those broke the spell, right? That's what I'm wondering.
Well, hey, Sensei, how about the time that you were teaching in the YMCA and you turned around and somebody was standing on the floor teaching one of your students?
Yeah, I was thinking about that a couple of minutes ago. I was like probably a second Dan and about 24 years old. I'm teaching a class at the YMCA. And I look over and there's this guy standing over, like there was maybe 35, 40 people. And he was fixing somebody's hands. So I got a bit nervous because I thought, well, he's probably somebody who'd come out. You know, I had 4 or 5 black belts on the floor with me. I walked over, I said, excuse me, sir. Would you mind telling me what you're doing? He says, well, I'm helping you out. I said, are you a black belt? And he had his jacket on. He opens up his jacket and he's got the label off of a karate gi sewed into the inside of his jacket. So I said to him, Bob Folkart, maybe I shouldn't mention his name. I said, Bob, throw this guy out. And he took him and threw him down the stairs at the YMCA. You could do that in those days.
Yeah, it was the 70s. There wasn't as kind and gentle a world back then.
Well,
So, go ahead, Hachi.
no, I'm done. I'm almost afraid of what I said already.
Right. Is dojo, let's start with you, Sensei Suino, then you, Hachi Legacy. Is dojo storming a lost art?
Dojo storming.
Like where you take your club and you go fucking challenge another club.
Ooh, I think it's a lost art. I think that's
Oh boy.
in this day and age, I don't know if it ever was really a thing, like on a large scale. But yeah, well, in this day and age, that just doesn't seem like a wise move. I think the third time that happens, people don't leave.
Right.
Well,
Right.
I one time, I'm not going to tell you where or anything. A couple of Taekwondo guys came into our school, and they wanted to see my teacher. And I told them, I said, "You're not seeing him today, not when I'm here." And I sort of was like standing 2 feet away from him, and they just got up and left. So if that's what you mean, they came in. You know, John Pearson was there, but I was actually the guy confronting this guys. And then it happened, Kung Fu school versus our school. And you know one of these guys really well. He is now a big shot in karate. But we changed our mind in a hurry. But anyway, that was in the past. I really can't explain it, right? Because it's a bit aggressive.
I mean, yeah, we know it's not a great idea because of that, but was there something valid there? Like going to someone's club and going, take off that fucking, you're not a club, like take off the fist. You don't fight. You're not, is there anything there or do we just go, who cares?
You know what that was? That was in the era before me.
Right.
That's what they were. people were trying to make a living out of it. And that's what it really boiled down to. People wanted the money. And then in those days, there were no clubs. So I know, like one of my teachers once stood outside of another guy's school handing out pamphlets. You know, it's all about money at that point.
Sure.
Now I think that we are martial artists instead of businessmen, that even the good businessmen just do it in the proper way. They just teach good martial arts and people come back or hear about having a good dojo and like Sensei Copeland, and they just keep coming back. Where a guy like that could easily go into somebody else's dojo, beat the crap out of everybody up to and including the instructor. But it's not like that anymore. We understand that a good martial arts schools brings other people into the dojos, and
Right.
you know, and that who's gonna put their children in a school that might get raided by another karate club? Be a bit like what's the name is that TV show that's on now, you know, everybody's fighting.
Cobra Kai.
Cobra Kai, yeah, be like that. I think that's it. They depict that there of what good karate and what bad karate is. I think that's the effort they're doing.
Right on. And then I'll throw it to you, Sensei Do-Fan, if you want to put a button on that and just add in the idea that we know like Rickson Gracie, Lucha Livre on the beach versus Jiu-Jitsu, people showing up at Rickson's club in Torrance and in LA going, I challenge you, and them going, great. Like, you know, he did quite put his art on the line against anybody who'd show up. So where do you go with that, especially being in KW, where two of your best friends run competitive clubs not far from you?
Man, where do I go with that? So I think when BJJ was coming out, they had to do that because they're trying to prove that martial art, right? So that's why they were going in, and when you hear about them doing it, most of the people they fought and defeated actually liked it. Like even Chuck Norris. Like I just watched something recently with Chuck Norris where, you know, he with his own words said, I tried to punch and kick these guys. They took me to the ground and they controlled me. And he said, and I'm a black belt in judo. And and so then he joined with them, like, cause he's a smart guy. But having said that, Sean, I want to say that at least in my 36 years, 3 or 4 times people have come in here recently in the last maybe a year and a half ago, a guy from Assassins BJJ, who's a friend of mine, came in here and wanted to do stand-up fighting. And I told him, I don't think it's a good idea. You're a grappler. You've not. And he was like, no, I've done like some kickboxing. And I said, okay, like you've kickboxed or you've like done cardio kickboxing and kicked a bag. And he's like, no, I can do stand-up. I can. And I said, okay, you're going to fight with me, like right here where I'm sitting. I said, you and I are going to start. I literally punched that guy one time and he laid on the ground. And then he said that he had a scratched cornea and my other friend had to drive him to the hospital and get his eye fixed. And literally I punched him one time. We fought for maybe 47 seconds. I let him throw like 4 or 5 things just to see like where's his level going to be, and I threw one half-assed jab back at his head and hit him in the head, and he went to the hospital.
Right.
But he was delusional. Like he wasn't challenging me, but he fully believed he was going to be able to stand in front of me,
Right,
and fight with me.
Yep.
And I will say also that, and I'm not trying to be a super dick about this, but I know a couple of people, and we all know these people too. Sensei Legacy knows the one person for sure. I'd love to go, and he doesn't have a dojo anymore. It's done. But I would have loved to have gone in his dojo and taken my belt off and put it on the middle of the floor and said, you put your belt in the middle of the floor too, and you and I fight, and the winner takes both belts, and the loser quits martial arts forever. I would have felt really good about doing a service to martial arts by doing that.
right.
That's the
Wonderful.
button I put on it. I don't like these people. I don't like those people getting flipped around, Sensei Suino. The instructor is one person, like he's an idiot for trying to teach that stuff. But those people who go along with it, I really dislike them almost more than the person who's trying to teach it.
Well, the whole lot of them are delusional, and even if they're not, they're wasting a whole bunch of time by doing that shit.
I hate the fact that other people compare us to it because we dress the same. It fucking drives me nuts. Because we all have martial arts uniforms on and belts. It's like Sensei Legacy says, you don't have to be an idiot. You just have to be standing next to one. And that's why I don't want them around. Like I just don't want that bullshit around. It's terrible.
Well, if we suddenly hear about a bunch of dumbass dojo owners getting punched out, it won't be you, I promise.
He was with me, officer. He was with me the whole time. I don't think there should be dojo storming, but I do, like literally, no, you can't do it. But God, I wish you could.
Well, hey, listen, here's what I thought of. It's a different time. Miyamoto Musashi, right, would go up and challenge people with swords and someone would die. Right? That was a different day and different stakes, right? Yeah.
But it happens in the judo and grappling world. And like people come to open mats in other people's clubs and test their skills against other people.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Isn't there a little bit of a difference between testing your skills against somebody you think is maybe a decent martial artist and you just want to find out who's better, right? Or someone who's, let's say you think somebody is good, that they're 80% as good as you, but they just have an inflated opinion of yourselves. That's not McDojo or bullshido, right? That's just levels.
That's just levels.
Right? Right? This show's about McDojo, man. This is about extreme examples in that regard.
Yeah, but people, I guess now that we're talking about it, like people they can be delusional. Like, I mean, I remember once Sensei Byron and I fighting at the university, Sensei Legacy having us fight at a demo. And so I'll just say it was pretty snappy fight. Like there was, it was pretty snappy. And then when we left the floor, Sensei Legacy said, anybody want to come out and fight these guys? And this fucking idiot took his shoes and socks off and walked out onto the floor. And Sensei Legacy said, all right, who do you want to fight? And he points at me and Sensei Legacy goes, I was standing next to Wayne Bear. And he says, you don't want to fight him. How about you fight the old guy standing next to him? And the guy says, no, I'll be okay. How about him? And he points at Sensei Byron and he goes, you definitely don't want to fight him. How about you fight that old guy standing next to him? Bear dropped that guy with one punch, literally one punch. And it was funny because I was hot. Like when he came out, I was irritated with Sensei Legacy for not letting me fight him. And after,
You don't say.
and after Sensei Legacy was like, there's no chance I'm going to let you fight a guy like that in front of that group of people. And when Bear fought him, when he did the first couple of techniques, I realized this guy actually thinks when he's doing this stuff that he's doing what we're doing. Because Bear hit him one time, he went down, he was like on the ground, and then Sensei Legacy said, "Do you want to go again?" And the guy goes, "That's enough."
Shit.
Believe it or not, he never joined karate. That guy.
But I think Sensei Suino, I want to bridge this because I do think that is the I think we keep coming back to this word of delusion, or at least I do, because that guy might go join a club, just not ours. Right. And then that becomes the believer, so to speak. And I told you about that, where I once met this guy who was a black belt who had never punched. I said, let's do some drills. He was a friend of a friend. His kata were stunning. And I was like, just touch me a little and then we'll roll it off. We'll just do some one-step sparring. And he started quaking. And I said, what's going on? He goes, I've never hit anybody. I said, oh, you're not going to hit me. He goes, no, I've never punched a human. This guy was a second-degree black belt. And I said, you've never punched anybody. I said, you've never been hit. He goes, no. And so I literally had to get a mat for him to punch comfortably. So he got shaken that day. We didn't fight or anything. But he goes, I didn't realize what's so incomplete about my karate that I've learned. And I said, look, man, you and I can get together and fill in the gaps. You're so physically capable. It won't take long. We'll just we'll coach up, you know, nicely. He doesn't call me back. And then I see him at a party later and he looks at me. I said, oh, hey, nice to see you. And he goes, sorry, I never got back to you. I realized that I might need to do another style like Kung Fu or Aikido or something. And
Come
I was like,
on.
oh, are you in a fighting club? And he goes, well, no. So he wants to find more moves, but he doesn't want to fight. And so I think he's the kind of guy, this is again, bridging sensei. Like if he felt that, he doesn't go, shit, or Hanshi, Sensei Dofan, he doesn't go, I got to fight harder. He goes, I have to find something new and different that I can claim is the new thing. What about you, Sensei? So when you get your hand up, or is that just
I don't know. That's just a freakish aspect of the Zoom call. Don't understand it. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't understand people. I don't know why you're in this game if you don't want to do some combative stuff. I don't understand why you do martial arts if you don't want to do some pressure testing. Makes no sense to me.
You'd be surprised at. I once said this in front of a karate master, you know, somebody, I know I have this certain rank, but somebody who's really important. I once said, as far as karate jitsu or the art of karate to kill your opponent is concerned, I'd say 85 to 90% of the schools are phony. They don't know how to do that. Hit somebody with a punch and destroy them, you know, because that was the initial intention. So to me, that's the difference between karate do and karate jitsu, even though in the early days they called Shorin karate do. But it was the difference in the application. When you're in a dojo, we do all that turning, doing the low blocks. You're not trying to break the guy's arm with the low block. You're just trying to redirect it just so that they can come back on Thursday to another class. But if you do a karate block in the proper way, you can break a guy's arm in half, or you can sever their nerves in another use of that arm again. And a guy said to me, Mr. Lexi, you're being very generous with my 85, 90%. He says, most of the karate clubs don't even know what that is. And with the addition of white crane, it's made very, very clear to you. Most people won't take their heads out of the sand. If you take up white crane, it shows you a lot of different moves in your karate that are meant to destroy a limb, destroy your life, like cripple you. It's that karate jitsu. The jitsu means in preparation for war. It's meant to destroy you. They never did it. The palace guards never did it for fun. You know, Itosu fought Tomoyoshi, hit him with a shootout, and the arm broke wrote the joint on his arm or snapped his arm. That's the type of karate we're talking about. But getting a black belt by fighting 3 or 4 or 5 different people, and like with a touch contest, that's what karate is. So,
well, let's
I don't know what else to say.
Let's see what Robert's got queued up in that vein, Hanshi.
Okay.
What do you got, Robert? Hey.
Here we go. Let's see if he can break them off. Creative breaking challenge, starting out with a punch. Going with the front kick. Alexander Carlos.
Fighting
Going
stance.
for the knee.
Excellent.
All right, here he goes. For a concrete break. One slap. Ush. Nope. All right. Okay, he's improvising. Looks like he's going for the heel foot stomp break. Soul Flow Battle of Champions in Pembroke Pines, Florida. Here we go. Good heel foot stomp break there. Going for the punch in the back next. Here we go. And finishing off. 5 boards, no spacers. 5 inches of wood there, solid. Oh, all right, here we go. Improvising again, breaking them one at a time. One more. Nice, excellent demonstration. Power, baby.
I'm exhausted.
That's an outright shame. That's good.
And that one's real because he's out of place and they set all that shit up and people are watching. Like he's at an event. He's not even in his dojo doing stupid stuff. He's out in public. Oh my God.
Two things made me laugh so hard there. One was that he's like creative board breaking challenge. And all he did was lumber for one little, like there was nothing creative about that. And
I like when he forgot the one. He went to go get those and he was like, and the other guy was like, hey, don't forget about this one. And then he kind of waddled over there and broke that one.
Oh my God. And then as we're watching him and just Sensei Copeland just chimes in, oh my God. And they're just like, oh, that's one of those, we had to watch this, so you have to watch it too.
But okay, the one thing, Robert, can you cue that one up again? On a, please. I don't want a lot. Okay. That was a shitty punch. That was a horrible kick. Terrible. I don't know what that is. This, when he tries to break this, it stands no chance. He doesn't even accelerate it. Look. Like, what the fuck is that? Like,
that's the no chance.
No chance.
Got to give him
Look
this.
at all the people standing around watching. That's the other thing is, and nobody's laughing. Like nobody's shaking their head or like.
He's got big belt energy though. Look at that belt.
That belt is. It's only wrapped around one time. Like,
I know.
2 times.
He got excited before he came in. I forgot how to tie my belt.
But he has no chance of breaking this. Look, what the hell is that?
BB.
There, look at the guy behind him hitting the bag. Equally badly.
Sensei, no offense, I told you about this. Once I was a yellow belt and I was up in my parents' attic and I was trying to break boards and they had all this old wood up there. And I couldn't, I was like really hurting my hand and I couldn't do it. And this was like 120, 130-year-old, like the best wood humans have ever had. Like it's not compressed or whatever those engineered hardwood, nothing. It's literally just thick oak. And you're like, Benz, that's not what they're breaking when they break those boards. They're breaking dried, aerated pine that you could hold and go with one half and the other half would snap off. And I was like, oh, I'm going to stop breaking my knuckles on like literal old construction wood. And it was one of the best things I ever figured out was that there's a lot of artifice to that whole thing.
Yeah, but I mean, some people do it for real. Like if you saw Sensei Almeida in Windsor break, like when people are kicking through baseball bats and stuff like that, some people are actually really doing it. And when you see them, they actually punch and do a technique that breaks the damn thing. Like that guy, I'd lay on the ground and let him pound on my forehead the way he pounded on that piece of wood or that brick. And it would be like, can you do it over here? Because there's a little bit of an itch here. Can you work on my glutes for me? Because they're a little bit tight. I'd like a couple of punches into my quads so that I can loosen up a little bit.
But you said something interesting, Sensei, about not laughing, like no one in the back is laughing. But the martial arts is built around respect, right? So do you think sometimes there's too much respect?
They're all into shock, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. Was he even a black belt? Like he was wearing a black belt, but like you said, it was around his waist once and dragging on the floor. He didn't hit like a martial artist. Like, where did he get his black belt? I'm interested in that. So I could
Or
just
was
be,
that a Master Ken type of a thing? Right? A Meridote. Like he just was doing a spoof. I don't think so, but
We'd love to know all of these are spoofs.
what would have made that one way better is when he had stomped through the concrete with his foot and almost tripped. If he had fallen down and knocked himself out and not carried on with the rest of the performance, it would have been way better.
yeah.
I like
Okay.
those ones though. My favorite thing when people break is when they kick a piece of wood and it goes flying out of the person's hand and cracks a spectator in the forehead or something. That always makes me laugh when you see that shit.
It's we can't even laugh at it because it's like ridiculous. Like,
Robert, what do you got? What do you got for us to laugh at, maybe?
We've got the OG of the McDojos here.
oh, I know this guy.
Fine in the world, and I've done this. With that finger, I can put him on the floor.
Insane fake martial artist. George Dillman is an insult to martial arts who popularized fake techniques like pressure points and no-touch knockouts. He was a big proponent of teaching people to channel their chi and energy like it was an anime, and supposedly knocking people out by touching them in really specific parts of the body. It's astonishing how many people he tricked into believing his absurd ideology, and when reporters didn't fall for his insane teachings, he had plenty of excuses.
I don't know if I should say that on film, but if the guy had his tongue in the wrong position of the mouth, that can also nullify it.
It's so strange for someone to believe in such an absurd ideology when it doesn't really work.
Pressure point knockouts are the easiest way to put a person down.
George Dillman, the man, the McDojo legend.
OG.
Yeah, the OG of McDojo. Sense Legacy, tell your story, because you actually sat next to George Dillman at a martial arts event.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to say anything.
He didn't want to interact with Master Benny Allen anymore after their little interaction.
I'm not sure I know which one you mean.
When you were sitting at the CNE,
Oh, yeah, okay. Well,
he asked him what he could teach Muhammad Ali.
yeah. Well, yeah, I could tell that one. I was sitting with him in the bleachers watching Benny Allen do I don't know I can't remember what it was, but Benny Allen came up. We were sitting there, and then he came and sat beside me. Benny Allen had went to the washroom. And Benny Allen walks back up, and he sees him sitting beside me. He walks over in front of him and says, "Hey, you're George Dillman, aren't you?" He goes, "Yes, I am." That type of thing. And he says, "I just wondered, you say you trained Muhammad Ali?" And he said, "Yes, I did." And he said, "What could you teach the champion of the world? You know, like, what could you teach him?" And he was sort of stuck for words. And then Benny Allen just turned around and walked away down the steps and just left us sitting there. He leaned over and said to me, "Who the hell was that guy?" I said, "Oh, that was Benny Allen." All of a sudden, everything changed. He just, "Benny Allen?" I said, "Yeah." Closed his suitcase, walked down. I walked to see him walk across the floor and out the door, and I never seen him.
Love it.
He had a credible reputation, you know, like but then you don't know, because he told us he had Hohan Sokan's kamas, but he left them out there on, just out there on a stage. And I said to Randy, I said, should we steal those? Of course, because we're honorable, we didn't. So
You know what I find interesting when they knock those people out with the one touch stuff? Have you ever seen them try and revive them? The revival is more realistic than the actual knockout. They beat the shit out of them. They flip them over and put their feet over their head and start smacking them in the back of the head. And like, and I'm like, okay, well, that's actually a good martial arts.
That's actually got some hip to it.
It seems very strange.
Was that you?
Robert's queuing up videos, I think.
Okay, cool.
Let's see one.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sean. Yeah. What?
No, well, I was just gonna say, we want to stay with our videos, but someone asked something that I think is important to answer because we are crapping on a lot of stuff. Said, new viewer, how do you guys recommend choosing a school in this day and age? So, you know, I think that's something worth addressing, and I don't want to put a cap on anyone's thoughts, but maybe we just, you know, keep it succinct. But what would help a new person find not one of these people? Sensei Suino?
Well, watch this show, watch McDojo Life, and then find a school where they don't do any of that shit. Find somebody you know who is a good martial artist. I highly recommend somebody on this show, and ask them what they think. Send them the website links, right? Yeah,
good idea.
Want to add anything, Punchy?
If you really want to know, you look at our names and just tell us the area you're from, and we'll find one for you and send you some suggestions. But if I were you, I would do a little bit of research, even if it's not the closest place to you, which is a mistake people make. You know, go to a good dojo, take the time, because you're putting your life or your career or whatever it is in your hands. And when you go, don't look at the sensei. Go in and look at the students, because you're never going to be the sensei there. You're going to be a student. So look at the students and see how they're performing. That's my best short introduction to hunting down a dojo. There are a lot more suggestions, but Sensei Suino had the best idea. Text one of us or call one of us, and we'll help you out as best that we can. We'll put you in touch with somebody who's in a good dojo in your area. We know people in all of North America and even in Japan and Okinawa.
Thanks, Hanshi. Do you want to add anything, Sensei Dauphin?
It's hard for me to see, like, there's telltale signs, right? When you go in, what's the club look like? Is it clean? Is it does it have weird stuff on the walls and weird things painted all over? How are they dressed? Are they dressed like martial artists? Like, I mean, there's certain things that will tip you off when you go in. And then if they want to talk to you about money stuff and business stuff right away instead of martial arts stuff, that would be a red flag for me. If they start telling you what you're going to be instead of asking you what you want to learn, that's a red flag for me. Right? It should be like, what are you looking for? Why did you come here? How did you hear about us? Like, these are questions you should be asked when you walk into a good dojo. If they start saying, we need a void check, we need you to fill out these contracts, grab my finger. Sure. Get the fuck out right away. As soon as they grab my finger, that's a grandpa trick. Get out of there.
Yeah. I'll just add real quick. The internet's your friend. You know, when I joined, we didn't have it, but remember, like, to look at what the club says they're good at, and then go look at where they are in terms of, like, if they say they're the best grappling club. Well, you can go then look online and see how they do at grappling events. You know, if they say they're the best board breakers, go find where the board breaking stats are and do they rank. If it's not competitive, do the people seem like they're Zen if they claim Zen? And if so, try that. But doesn't always have to be competitive. But you can look online for 90% of what they claim they are and see if they stack up. Robert, what do you got for us? Oh, Sensei, you want to add something? Sensei
I just gonna say a good question is to ask them who their teacher is. When you go into somebody's club and you're going to start training, ask them who taught you, who's your sensei, who's your instructor.
What you got, Robert? Throw something our way.
Oh no.
I think we got to hear this one.
Yeah.
Using just the
You
sound
definitely want to
and the energy projection.
Can we start this one over?
start it over, Robert, at the beginning.
This guy's
I
been
know
training.
It seems very strange to us Westerners that we think that a simple sound or a phoneme would have the ability to affect a person in that way. What's even stranger is the idea that using the sound and projecting energy can actually knock somebody out. Samantha is going to try for her first time to actually knock me out using just the sound and the energy projection.
In good shape, isn't he?
Yep. She just takes his cheeseburgers.
I'm so glad you have this video, Robert. Flip them, flip them, flip them.
There's the revival.
cracking his knuckles. What's she doing?
If you can shoot in tight, you should be able to see that the pupils are actually dilated as a result of the initial push and the energy push.
Nice.
Yeah.
Like he
Was it
started. He was
energy
started
push?
from one. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, was it the energy push or the cocaine that he did before that
He
happened?
He was panting from walking up to the microphone. When he just got up, walked to the microphone, started panting.
My eyes are dilated too from the bullshit.
Yeah, that was. I like that's. I don't know how people fall for that. Just,
Yeah, Sensei Copeland said, "How does she know how to do all this?" And it's her first time. Yeah.
It's probably half the kata they prep is recovery prep until you're ready. You know, so he fake falls down until she's ready. And then once he knows she can revive him, she can try the real one. And then he fake falls down again. I mean, sorry, falls down for real. Oh God, it's so good.
So the last person who asked, "How do you know like a good dojo?" That's not one, by the way. Like, just so you know, like if that guy comes walking out to teach the class, get the hell out of there as fast as you can.
Yeah. Oh, we're not going to figure it out, but the hypnosis that occurs, it's just, I don't know. I'm going to think about that while I fall asleep. I'm going to be like, what didn't we say during the show? Because it's unsolvable. So I'll be frustrated that we didn't solve it, but we can't.
We got time for one more?
Oh yeah.
oh,
This is from someone you know.
Uh-oh.
Oh, this is fun.
Efterhand som jag pekar på. Lägg ner igen. Sista rundan här nu. Då är det denna sidan som börjar nu.
So for our viewers who don't know, that's our friend Mike Wall. He is actually a 100% legitimate martial artist, a great BJJ coach. and a superhuman being, also a great chess player. And I think they're just having some hijinks at the dojo. So that
Yeah,
might
he's poking fun.
yeah,
Bullshit.
that might make it even harder for our uninitiated to know the difference between the truth and the falsehoods.
Yeah, he's making fun of them. That's what he's doing. Because if you've ever had Mike Wall's hands on you, he's gonna break your arms and legs and choke you unconscious really easily.
I'm glad to hear that because I couldn't believe it I was seeing.
Yeah, he's a good dude. He's a good dude.
Tough dude too.
Yep.
Alpanakia threw in a comment, which is, I think, actually important. He just said, the book Robert Smith wrote, The Deadliest Man, it was all made up stuff, sold more than his regular books. And there's another famous one called A Million Little Pieces about a guy's drug addiction. When he tried to sell it as a fiction, no one would buy it. But the second he said it was true, there was a bidding war and he was on Oprah. And I think there's something about people's need for things to be true. And then later when they figure out they aren't, there's a need to chop them down and go, that was all bullshit. It's like, well, you're the one who accepted it for a while.
Yeah, it reminds me of the internet fame, right? Is you can have a great personality on Instagram or stand in front of a $100,000 car that's not actually yours. And it's just like the book, you write about something deadly that's all bullshit, but it's got a great title.
Great title.
Nice picture on Instagram.
I think people want to believe it. I think they want to, and that's all there is to it. The hard work.
I mean, I want to be a Jedi too. That would be great. I'd love to be Yoda. It's not going to happen.
Well, the night is young. The night is young. The night is young, but our show time is not. Ladies and gentlemen, that's literally, we're 2 minutes before time. So I'm going to jump into our thank yous. And I want to say thank you to Robert Schlumsky, Justin Shea, Andrei Sedashev, Alden Adair, Jesse Vlay-Vitao, Sidney Dauphin, Josh Kitchens, Christian Landel, Daniel J. Holland, Dridi Guliani, Stavros Stavroulias. Thank you so much for running all this stuff. Sensei Dauphin, are we forgetting one that you mentioned last week that we need to add to our list?
Yes. Sensei Suino, I can't remember your the SEO person's name that does the work for us.
Emily Ruth Driscoll just came up.
Emily Ruth Driscoll does a ton of work for us on our consistent social posts and some email lists. She definitely should be on that list.
Awesome.
Definitely.
Thank you for your help, everybody. We don't have a show without you. Let's just go. We'll go around the horn and do our usual good night. Hanshi, what do you want to say about our McDojo chit chat? How does it leave you feeling?
It's just, I don't know what to say. It's just insulting to martial artists that those people think that the human race is so stupid to believe that. And it's also disappointing that there is a part of the human race that does believe that. Like, a martial artist is trying to make the world a better place to live in, person by person. And then there's that. So it's almost like the destructive energy is overrunning the constructive. I don't know how to explain something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sensei Suino?
Yeah, authentically, I have to say, I thought this was going to be an episode filled with laughter, but I feel a little icky.
Yeah.
I'm not happy about these guys out there, and I think we just got to keep doing our work, trying to maintain classical martial arts, trying to train hard and get better. Yeah, man, those people suck, and they should not be associated with us in any way. And I suppose if I take a lesson from this, I'm going to be more forthright about expressing that, letting people know when they've gone too far into the land of bullshit.
I mean, honestly, Sensei Suino, as a luminary in this martial arts world, if that's our takeaway from this show, that you will be more of that for the truth, that's a really good episode. Sensei Dauphin?
Those people are not martial artists. Not even one of them. is actually a martial artist, just because you're putting a martial artist uniform on, and not even correctly, and they didn't even put it on correctly in some instances, doesn't mean that you're a martial artist, or anything for that matter. Like, all of those people had very similar traits. They're in horrible physical condition. Most of them were in terrible physical condition, and not because something happened to them or whatever. Like, it's one thing if you're like injured and you have knowledge of martial arts. It's another thing if you just, I don't know, everything about those people is shitty. Like, the way they dress, the way they move, the way they think. And I agree, it is kind of icky. I'm not gonna lie though, I am probably gonna go watch that guy try and kick that apple off of that girl's head again, because I find that to be kind of funny. But but yeah, and that last one, not Mike Wall, but the last one there, like, that's just the icing on the top. Like, that looked like a TV show too. Like, somebody's actually, with great special effects, those cardboard cutout stars in the background twinkling, that was an added bonus to that bullshit. Yeah. I hated this episode.
You know, I feel the same. Like, I think you used the word icky sensei suino, or at least that's what I heard. Like, there's something a little icky about it all, where you're just like watching these as 20-second clips throughout the week when we send them to each other, someone sends it. It's like fucking, but sitting and watching a collection of it, there's no way we can, I don't even know that we want to make fun. Yeah, we do, but make fun of it more than its own existence. Like, its own existence is the ultimate joke on itself. And that's where it becomes a little like, what are we gonna say that's worse than that? So yeah, I kind of hated it too, and I love that we just say that clearly, because yeah.
I will say, if any of those people from those videos wants to come into any of our dojos and try that shit, or into Sensei Copeland's, or like anybody on this call, go to Sensei Wadi's dojo and he'll work a cane over on you. Like, he teaches cane all the time. I'd love to see them come in. So if you watch this show and you get insulted that we were making fun of you, come on in and let's talk about it.
Yep. And you know, I'm always a bright side kind of guy. Or if you've been humbled since that got posted and you want to come and learn something, the door's open for that too. You never know. Someone might have gotten the ass kicking they needed and found a new way to serenity through humility. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Let us know your thoughts. We don't normally leave an episode where we're openly like scratching the ick, but I'd love to know what you guys think, because this is a fun topic, and it's not going to be the last time we bring up this idea. But drop something in the comments on the YouTube. We're really excited to hear from you, and we can't wait to see you next week when we're back with a guest with our usual format. Thank you, everybody. Have a beautiful week.
Thanks, everybody.
All right.